All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the season premiere 2022 Rack Me podcast. I am your host, CHADZUMOCK. Joining me today, Ken Mosca, Tony Mazer. How are you guys doing?
Good, Chad. Good to see you guys.
Good. I'm drinking a Four Loko today because it's 2011 all over again.
Tony, can you introduce today's guest, our very special guest?
No, you can do that, Chad.
All right. I was going to give you the honors, but I'm going to go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, hot, and I mean hot off the Ric Flair roast, where he just tore it up. And he is a roast battle alumni. He's in the Jellies. He's in the movie Benchwarmers with Nick Swartzen, but he's here today. His podcast, Inappropriate Earl, can be found on iTunes, anywhere you find podcasts, iCloud. He's here today, the great Earl fucking Skakel and Kamala. How are you?
I'd like to also say I'm doing a second podcast that nobody listens to, the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast, where we had our biggest day ever yesterday.
I watched it with Eric Bischoff.
Yes, so thank you to Easy, and we'll be back to our usual numbers next week.
That's not good self-promotion.
No, we're like the little podcast that could. We just got cleared to get, I didn't come on to talk about my wrestling stardom, but we got cleared by WWE and AEW to get their talent. So hopefully that leads to bigger guests.
That's a big deal. That's a big one. Someone's doing well.
I mean, we are left to, we do it in person, so we're really only left with people who are local to LA, which might explain our guest roster of retired porn stars and people who were in XPW for 2 matches 12 years ago.
Anybody from Roast Battle?
Let me see. Well, when we do the pedophile and rapist segment, we're going to get them in there. That'll be a 7-hour podcast.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great day. We're going to kick off the season. But before we kick off the season, we're going to explain. We're doing the football poll this year. Ken, can you explain what we're doing?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot different than last year. Be a lot of honesty. So it's only a $50 buy-in. I'm the commish. I've been labeled the commish, and all you got to do is Venmo me at Ken Mosca, the $50 by 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Chad.
With your picks.
With your picks. The spreads that we're doing right now, correct? We're doing the spreads right now
and I'll put them out on the Patreon too, so you can see the spreads.
Yeah, nothing's going to be on Twitter, nothing like that.
But yeah, I know we there was a lot of
we have seed money from Rich Energy. So like he did last year, he put $200 up to get us started.
And it's a winner take all for now, unless we get a lot of people to join, then we'll split it up. But we just want to have some fun with it. And I know a lot of people emailed us hesitant because of last year and how it was ran. You know, people put a lot of money in and they're concerned. So what do you say to them about their concerns?
They should not be concerned. Not be concerned with me. Okay. I can't speak for others, for that used to be with this program, but it's all good. It's all good.
It's on the up and up.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited for this Sunday. I'm calling it 9/11. I've never been more excited for 9/11. It's going to be so much fun. September 11th, we got the kickoff. But before we get there, Thursday, September 8th, we got Josh Potter's Buffalo Bills versus Kate Quigley's LA Rams. How's Kate Quigley doing, Earl? Have you seen her?
Well, I just want to shout out to the NFL for scheduling 12-pack stadiums on 9/11 for giving the terrorists nice targets, nice selection. I mean, I can't think of a worse day. And you know how terrorists love to do things on the anniversary of. So I'll be watching from home. I haven't seen Kate Quigley in years, so I don't know, to be honest with you. She's alive, I can tell you that much.
That's all we want. That's all we want.
She'll be at the Funny Stop again. coming up in a couple of months.
Well, there you go. That's good. She's out there. She's performing. But
I don't think I'm going to be working with her again after my association with, with you, Chad, and Kevin and everybody.
God bless
I mean,
her.
I get along with her. I get along with her for the record. Like, we were always friends, but we were comedy friends.
Same.
We never hung out or anything.
Same.
I got no beef with her.
I have zero beef with her, and in fact, I'm happy she's with us. I know some of us took some liberties. I was one of them, but it's comedy. We're just fucking around.
I mean, I knew Fu. He was a good dude. So I didn't know the other two. Yes. I love how I don't know if they do this where you guys live, but like when Fu died, certain comedy clubs in town put up big things saying "Make God laugh." It's like, you didn't book him when he was alive. They did it when did you guys know who Teddy Ray was?
Wasn't he?
No.
Did he manage Doom?
No, that's Ted DiBiase. Teddy
Teddy
Ray
Long.
was a really funny. Oh yeah, right. Teddy Ray was a really funny LA comic. He died recently. They did the same thing. Said, "Have Teddy make God laugh." It's like, you didn't even book him on the Black Show, and you can't get any blacker than Teddy Ray. Like, oh my God, was he black?
By the way, that's the only way I'm going to make the fucking LA comedy scene banners if I get killed or murdered or something.
Oh yeah, the Comedy Store will put up Z-Man make God laugh.
Yeah. I know Richard of the Comedy Magic Club will put something on the marquee. I'm actually friends with him.
He's a nice guy.
Rita Hollywood Improv will put something. I don't know about the Laugh Factory. I like how that's what I have to look forward to is my name on a banner when I'm dead.
I'm almost surprised there hasn't been more suicides next to the Comedy Store. There hasn't been one in over 40 years, or at least jumping off the building next to it.
Well, if you've been, I know Chad has. It's kind of funny when you think the guy thought he could jump from the roof, and I think his goal was to land in Mitzi's car. Which, no, I'm not kidding. Like,
That's beautiful.
Her car was parked maybe about 10 feet into the parking lot. So you would have had to have been Carl Lewis to make that from the roof. And he didn't even make the parking lot. He died in the driveway of the hotel. All right, let's get to the picks. Caller 565, give me a balloon on Steelers in the over.
Let's go to the phones. No, hey, Tony, you're saying you're surprised there hasn't been more suicides? You haven't seen a lot of sets in the belly room. Hello.
You haven't seen Roast Battle all the last 2 years. Oof. It ain't even the B team anymore. It's like the C team. You guys keep battling. Keep battling.
Speaking of battle, this Thursday, is this in LA, Ken? What do we got? What's the spread?
It's Buffalo at Los Angeles Rams. But Buffalo giving 2.5, Chad, from what I'm looking at.
Ooh.
Right? Buffalo minus 2.5.
Let's go around the horn. Tony Mazer, go ahead.
First thing I got to say, Ken, you sound great today. Usually Ken's microphone's like, we get complaints like, oh, we can't hear Ken, his microphone. Sounds great. Sounds great right now. You're doing great so far.
Funny. I appreciate that.
You're doing
like
great.
being I like being fifth mic on a 4-mic show.
I think the Rams hit their peak. They won their Super Bowl and they got a quarterback who's in his 14th season. I'm going Bills. I think Bills are going to, we could get our predictions down the road, but I think the Bills could very well run the table and maybe not go undefeated, but first place. I think they'll start off pretty strong here on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going Bills in this one.
Ken Mosca, the commissioner.
Yeah, I did say that right, though, Chad, right? The Bills are giving 2.5, not getting. I want to be clear on that, okay?
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. So, I'm taking Buffalo as well. They're being talked about as a Super Bowl team. They'll win the division. No, Tony, they won't go undefeated. They'll probably go 13-4, something like that. They're a 13-win team, but I'm taking Buffalo.
The legend himself, Roastmaster General Earl Skakel.
Yeah, I am the real roast master. Who names himself the roast master and loses to Blake Griffin, a guy who's never fucking done it before? Fuck, this business sucks.
I actually saw that.
Now, I don't know if they do the same in football that they do in hockey, but when a team wins the Stanley Cup, they do a really long ceremony the first home game, and almost always the home team loses that game because you're just standing around. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance. So if they do the same, which I'm assuming they'll have some ceremony for the Rams, I'm going to go with Buffalo because Buffalo's just in the locker room stretching, doing whatever, and the Rams have to be out there like acting like they're enjoying the ceremony. I think they get their rings. So I'll go with Buffalo too.
You know what? That's a good take. That's a rack fucking Earl with that take. That's a hot take. I agree with him 100%. Earl's going to take a shit. I'm going to go
get in a Gatorade. Get in a Gatorade with my Bowling Pursuit T-shirt. Thank you.
So yeah, you're an honorary member. I saw you and Thomas Ian Nicholas are honorary members of Bowling for Soup.
Yes, they are like the nicest group of guys I've ever been around in my life. Like just VIP treatment, and I don't know if you guys like them. They're kind of a cult band, but it's a really fun show. And go Bills.
Go Bills. God damn it. I'm going with the Bills too. My 2.5, even though they disappointed me. Oh, is that the book you got from Nikolai Volkov?
This book I'm reading right now, Nikita Koloff, My Life in Wrestling. And let me see here. Let me open up the to Earl, always be a champion, except in roast battle. He didn't have enough room to leave that.
I love how Earl will not let go of his. I love a man who won't let go of the grudges. I love it. He's
Never.
taking it to the grave.
Never. Fuck them all.
What was Stallone and Rambo when First Blood when he says never?
Never. It's over, Johnny. And nothing is over. You just don't turn it off. You asked me. I didn't ask you.
I'm glad the football podcast is back.
And I'm the bad guy. My girls are all of age, and I'm the bad guy.
You're Brian Dennehy. You're trying to run John out of town.
No, I'm Rambo, man. I speak for the victims.
Okay. Oh, I'm Brian. I'm David Caruso trying to hose him down.
This is caller 565. Give me a balloon on the Steelers -10.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. We got September 11th, guys. 9/11. Never forget. You know, it's a holiday. There's going to be a lot of ceremonies going on. Proud to be American. But 1:00 on Fox, we got the Saints going up against the Falcons. What's the line on that one, Ken Mosca?
Saints -5.5 in Atlanta, and Atlanta's rebuilding. They're a fourth place team in their division this year. Saints are better than people think. They'll be better.
Question is, do they have a quarterback who can get them there? They have Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton, two big arms, lots of interceptions. So you have Chris Olave from Ohio State, as I'm wearing the jersey right now, not Olave, but a Bobby Hoying jersey today. But they have Kamara, they have Michael Thomas, of course. I think he's questionable this weekend, but they have a lot of weapons. But can Jameis Winston get them the ball? That's the question right now.
So what are you going to go with on the line?
I'm still going to go with the Saints because I saw it's -5.5, and I think Jameis will put up a big game. He's going to give people a lot of blue balls. They're going to be like, oh, we found him. It's Jameis Winston, famous Jameis. He's back. And then I would say probably halfway through, or maybe even a couple of weeks into the season, he'll just throw way more picks and they're going to call for Andy Dalton, or they're going to want to bring a free agent quarterback in there for the Saints. But yeah, I think Jameis is going to have a big first week. And then after that, you're not really going to hear from him after that.
We go to Magnum TA's new friend, Earl Skakel.
I mean, if I were the Saints just as backup, I would call the Steelers about Mason Rudolph because Jameis Winston He's like watching Lorenzo Lamas act. Like it should be good, but it's just not. I mean, you know, like on paper, he'd be amazing. He's this huge, doesn't really matter his race, but huge dude who can run and he's got an arm like a rocket, but he's got the accuracy of like that Vegas shooter and at the Mirage. So I'm going to go with the Saints. The Falcons are so bad. I mean, they might not win a game this year. I mean, it's just there's rebuilding, there's retooling, and then there's just dismantling, and they're going to be bad for a while. So I'm going to go with the Saints.
I loved all of Earl's analogies, so I'm going with the Saints too. I got to be honest with you. I'm just piggybacking on who has the best take. And
Crack Earl.
I mean, you know, I mean, the Falcons, they might not win a game this year. I haven't looked at their schedule, but like, they might go 3-13 at best.
Yeah, they're a 2-3 team.
well, hey, listen, what was that thing you were saying with the Steelers and the balloon?
That's $1 million bet for you guys who'd like to call up the sites. A balloon.
Well, that leads us to another 1 o'clock game. We got Earl
Do I get to
Skakel.
go?
Oh shit.
That's all right. I'll be quick. I'm taking the Saints, but I think Winston's gonna have a little bit better year than maybe some of you guys think. But I'm taking the Saints.
Like I said before, we're going to Earl Skakel's Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh.
Versus Josh Schneeds' Cincinnati Bengals, everybody. And I think the line, what I got, Kenny, correct me if I'm wrong, is Cincinnati minus 6.5.
That's the line, 6.5.
Where are you going with this one?
At Cincinnati. I only because of the quarterback play, I'm going to take Cincinnati. I think Pittsburgh's defense is back to being what we're used to seeing with Pittsburgh defenses. I think that front seven is just as good as anyone in the league, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But I'm going to take the Bengals. I don't think Pittsburgh can score with Cincinnati.
Ooh. And it's in Cincinnati?
It's in Cincinnati.
Tony Mazer.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cincinnati as well. And I think a lot of that is that issue Pittsburgh's having at quarterback is that, as Earl's mentioned about Mason Rudolph, who's just been as close to a disaster as humanly possible. So they had to address the quarterback situation. They get Kenny Pickett, but he's not starting. It's Trubisky. And Trubisky's a guy that's just, he's a first-round pick, but has never lived up to any type of his potential. He's a career backup quarterback, and they're having him start. Now, I think Pittsburgh's they're going to have Trubisky for first couple of weeks, and I think he's going to get benched, if not even sooner, for Kenny Pickett. So, and I think that continues in week 1 right there. So I'm going Cincinnati with that 6.5.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't do a lot of research leading up to what happened to Dwayne Haskins?
He was trying to meet Eric Myers on the freeway.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, shit.
Fucking Earl.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Eric would love that joke if he was sober to hear it.
Rest
All right, who do you have, Chad? Chad, look at Chad. He's got to compose himself.
Oh, fuck. If you're a comedy fan, you love that one. I'm going to go, man, 6.5 in Cincinnati. Fucking, they had this amazing year. I don't know, this with this young quarterback. How is he, 25, 26? Andy, what's his name?
Burrow?
Yeah, Burrow.
Yeah, he's a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals on this. Fuck the Steelers. What am I doing? I'm going to pretend like I'm some huge hypothetical here. Earl, your Steelers, give us, what are we missing as a Browns fan? What are we not seeing?
I'm going to go with the Steelers with the points. I mean, that's a touchdown, man. I like Trubisky. poor Rudolph. Like, the guy played great in preseason, but it was usually against the second half opponents. So there's third and fourth stringers. He can't catch a break. I don't think Pickett's ready. But the Steeler defense, and they also added Okunjobi. I don't know how to say his name exactly. He's the guy who hit Rudolph in that race game that they played. I can't believe they put those two on the same team together. But I also don't believe Rudolph said the N-word. I mean, I don't think you're a white guy who looks like Rudolph. You're going to drop an N-bomb, and then the next day you're going to look at Cam Hayward going, "Hey, buddy." So
I was there for that.
Were you?
Oh yeah. That you would think if he dropped an N-bomb, wouldn't you think all these woke NFL reporters would have tried to out him by now, that they would have had it within minutes of him having that audio, and there's no audio of him telling that to Myles Garrett or Larry Ogunjobi and anyone else. It was silly then, it's silly now.
I mean, when 80% of your teammates are black, and large black men at that, I just don't see you're going to try. It's one thing if you're playing on the hockey NHL rank, then you might get away with that because you got a better chance of survival. But getting to the actual game, I just think the Steeler defense is so good, and with Okunjobi thrown in there too, that's just insane. Good luck with him and Hayward. And Watt. I mean, Watt looked amazing in preseason. Granted, it's preseason, and you got Fitzpatrick back there to cover up any mistakes. And I don't think the Steelers have to score that. Like, with that defense, like if they had a bad defense, you'd probably have to score 28 points a game to try and win. But I think if they can get 20 points, they have a chance at winning most games. So I think that's doable.
All right, that leads us to
Steeler defense is going to be good.
That is it the new Iron Curtain?
With Okunjobi too. That's the crazy thing. Like how they added him. I guess Tua retired, so maybe that was how they could add him. But and I think once Burrow feels that first sack by Watt or Hayward, the playing field's leveled a little bit.
Leads us to another 1:00 game. We'll go up against Big J Okerson's Philadelphia Eagles in Detroit with Dave Landau's Lions, which I will be with him this weekend, Friday, Saturday, 4 shows, Visani's Comedy Club. Get your tickets if it's not sold out already. Ken, what's the spread? What do we got?
Philadelphia given 4 at Detroit, as you said. Philadelphia given 4. And look, my pick to win the East is the Eagles. I sure shit isn't going to be the Cowboys. They're in such fucking disarray, but we'll get to them later on. But I'm taking Philadelphia. Look, it's all about quarterback play. I think that quarterback is good. Maybe I should say above average. Maybe he's not good yet. He had his moments last year. He's going to have his moments this year. But that offensive line is good. That defense is good. They drafted well. They signed a couple of key free agents, especially in the defensive backfield. I'm taking Philadelphia.
Tony Mazur.
Here's the only reason I'm going with Detroit is they're on Hard Knocks this year, and that they've got a little bit of they've got a little bit of that fire. Just because that 4 points, they're at home. I'm not saying that Detroit will win. I'll just say they'll cover. But yeah, I think that Hard Knocks, it's going to put a spotlight, and they want to come out and, don't they do the first couple of weeks of the season with Hard Knocks, so they kind of show off a little bit. So maybe they want to do something and, play above their weight. So next week on HBO, they're going to show, what a hard-nosed team they are. They open the week and they started off 1-0 for a team that no one expected. So I'll go with Detroit in this one. Just even though I do agree with Ken, I think Philadelphia does find a way to win that week East, but I think they'll start off 0-1 right now.
Earl Skakel from West Hollywood.
I'm going to go with Philadelphia. I just think the Lions are pretty bad. And I like Jared Goff. He seems to be a good company man. And they got a little better toward the end, but I just think Philadelphia is too strong.
Again, I'm just judging by everyone's takes. Tony wins that round. Rack Tony Mazur. I'm going with Tony Mazur.
You're going with Detroit? Wow.
I'm going with Detroit. Hard Knocks. I like the sell.
That's because you want to tell Dave that you took his Lions.
No, I just want to do like I'm buying, you're selling. I want this to be the new ESPN show. What are the chances of them picking this up after Earl Skakel's terrible joke about Eric? I forgot his last name.
Eric Myers.
Where are we at, Ken? What's the next game? I lost track.
Yeah, it's another 1:00 game. I have New England at Miami. Miami giving 3.5.
That's Bill Burr's New England Patriots, where he recently just sold out Fenway Park against Jim Florentine's Dolphins, who, he's still on the Tua train. What do you got, Ken? You started out. We'll go to Tony, then Earl, then me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on this guy's, the quarterback for New England.
Matt Jones.
Matt Jones. Is that his name, Matt Jones?
Yeah.
I keep getting mixed up with Zach Wilson, who's going to be out now 4 weeks for the Jets.
Just basic white guy names.
Yeah, they just look.
They're like when you play a video game, but they don't have the license that they're not in the Players Association, so just give some random name. Zach Wilson. Why not? Sure.
I'm going to take the Dolphins. I think it's time for the Dolphins to be the second best team in that division, because they're not better than Buffalo, and they're not going to win a division. But I think in this game at home, I know it's only 2.5. I'm sorry, 3.5. Right? Yeah, I'm taking Miami.
Tony Mazur.
I'll take Miami as well, only because I still think New England's the better team for right now. I think they kind of played above. They obviously with Belichick as the coach still, but they always seem to have problems with Miami and I was going to say Joe Robbie Stadium. Jesus, whatever they call the stadium right now, Hard Rock or whatever.
Hard Rock, right?
It's still Joe Robbie Stadium to me. And they always seem to have problems. There's always a couple of years ago they had that the backwards lateral to win the game. They always have some kind of problems. So I'm going to go with Miami in this one.
All right, Earl Skakel, are you performing anywhere this week, Earl? Are you at the Comedy Store where people can see you?
I'm at the Comedy Store tonight, closing out the main room, and Saturday night as well in the main room, in the Brody spot.
Brody spot, you got it.
Spot.
We couldn't get Brody on the podcast, huh?
Yeah, he's probably walking along the 10 freeway right now, trying to find Eric and Haskins.
Christ.
Enough jokes.
I'm still mad at Brody because he was supposed to do my podcast the day he died, so he could have waited a day. But anyway,
can you do one with Perry Caravello?
I would not have him in my house.
Well, I'm just saying, if you wanted to do a podcast, and then we see if he actually shows up for it.
I mean, I am known in LA as the podcast Grim Reaper. I've had 5 guests die, so technically 6. I mean, I was going to have Ralphie May on the week he died, but he couldn't get up the stairs. So oh boy, 594 pounds. How'd you like to be the guy who got that cremation order? Probably took the rest of the week off.
Hey boys, we're gonna need some help today. If you guys can come in.
They had to cut him up to fit him in.
Oh, bro, it was so crazy at his memorial at the Improv. There were so many ashes. They had 6 boxes. I thought they were building a new stage. I don't know what was going on. I'll take the Patriots. They're better coach. This is a pretty even game to me. So I just when it's an even game, I always go with the better coach.
By the way,
I don't think Don Shula is going to do it this year.
By the way, this just in, fresh off the presses, coming off a great weekend with Jim Brewer in Fort Myers, and this week with Dave Landau. I will be at Side Splitters a week from today, Wednesday, with Jim Brewer. Look at me. I'm on fire.
You got Voss this weekend too, don't you?
Oh, I'm just going to say hi to him. I'm not doing a show.
My golfing buddy Voss.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Who
do you have, Chad?
I forgot.
Miami or New England?
I'm going to go with the Dolphins because I'm rooting for the Dolphins. I got 3 favorite teams. The Browns, number 1, always number 1. I root for the BUCS since I live 3.2 miles away from the goddamn Raymond James Stadium, and the Dolphins because of Jim Florentine, Luke Florentine, and the Florentine family. So I'm going with the Dolphins. I'll be better researched next week. I'm getting used to this. Okay. I'm getting what do you call it, Tony? You're good with analogies.
You're at the gym. You can't just start off and start deadlifting 600 pounds. You got to start a little bit and you got to ease into it.
Right. Earl used to be a personal trainer. You didn't just start squatting.
No, you gotta ease into it. You gotta start off with half hour on the life cycle, and then next week you do the elliptical, and then you start light weights, and then you start porking girls from the yoga class.
Love that ergometer.
Yes, the climber, the Versa climber.
So I might be coming out of this football pool kind of weak. And again, you sign up for the football pool. You email Ken Mosk at $50 and your pick tomorrow by 6 p.m. If that's what you want to do, we're going to have some fun with it. It's not going to be a huge pot like last year, but then again, it won't be a nightmare. That's all I can promise. And you will see your standings. Now,
Ken, how far away from you are you from the Walmart on Dale Mabry?
1,741 miles.
Tampa Walmart on Dale Mabry.
Chad's got a great bit about that Walmart on Dale Mabry.
And it works everywhere.
It really works.
Yeah.
Oh,
crowds are a little suspect here.
Baltimore Ravens at
1.6 miles.
I love that. That's a great bit.
All right. What do we got?
Baltimore Ravens at New York Jets in the Ghetto Lands here in New Jersey. Baltimore given 7. Who do you have, Tony?
Oh, jeez. So Zach Wilson's out. They got Joe Flacco, who's I think he's in year 15 now, right?
Yeah, he's in cement shoes. That's what he's in. He can barely move.
And by the way, his backup is Mike White. So again, another random white guy for the Jets that's playing there. But no, it was -7. Jets are a disaster. They continue to be a disaster. They try to upgrade. They get people they don't really need. They need to find that quarterback. They need to find something that's going to kind of bring any type of where they were 10 years ago with Sanchez and everything. Baltimore, even though I think Baltimore is going to go through a massive identity crisis this year with Lamar Jackson, with teams starting to figure him out, he's slowing down a little bit. And the Ravens kind of they're getting a little long in the tooth with some of their players. I still think the Ravens are just going to roll in week 1. They always do.
You remember when the Browns went through a massive identity crisis? They became the Ravens.
I remember that. They got the old Mayflower trucks, the old Bob Irsay Mayflower trucks
from Epseek in New Jersey. Tony, those Mayflower trucks.
Now, do you blame Tony as a Browns fan? Do you blame the owner? What's his name? That's dead.
Art Modell.
Do you blame him?
No, not at all. I don't blame because he was the short version of this. He was kind of strapped. He felt that they were giving the Cavaliers and the team once known as the Cleveland Indians, giving them an opportunity for a Sweetheart Stadium deal. And he was stuck on the lakefront with his business. And his whole thing is that he was broke. He didn't own anything else besides the Cleveland Browns, and they were not profitable. Even during the days of Bernie Kosar and Ernest Biner and Hanford Dixon and Clay Matthews, they weren't generating any type of money, and he had no money. So he had to go take out a loan to get Andre Rison to play for them for half a season. So he wasn't a very good owner, but I don't necessarily blame him for leaving. Yeah. And the Browns, he wanted a sweetheart deal, and look what happened after the Browns left. Yeah. Every team ended up getting their own sweetheart deal, except for, of course, the Houston Oilers, who had to move to Tennessee.
Who didn't get a sweetheart deal? Andre Rison's house.
That's true. I thought you were going to say Dwayne Haskins again, but
because as you remember correctly, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, rest in peace. She was trying to cross the street with Eric Myers, burned down Andre Rison's home.
Yeah, but he probably didn't own the home, so he didn't own the home. There's no sweat off his back.
Yeah,
he leased it.
So where are we at, Ken? Who's got picks in?
We're waiting on you and Earl.
Well, normally I love games where someone plays their old team, because they step it up. But Flacco, he's got the mobility of Eric Myers right now. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens in a big upset. So I like Flacco, but he's just, you talk about it's over, Johnny. It was over a minute ago. So when he's throwing to white receivers, that's not a good sign. So this game's going to be a blowout.
And Wayne Cribette's not walking through that door anymore.
Nope.
He's about as mobile as Bob Saget trying to take a shit in the middle of the night.
Oh, is that what was going on? I mean, there's a lot of rumors about what was going on. I heard through the grapevine that Bob Saget was trying to find Haskins and Myers, and he fell over the direction. But I will say this, and I don't like to talk about myself. By the way, I just got my email from AEW. My 4 wrestling T-shirts are on the way. I'm pretty happy about that. 54 years old, and I'm buying wrestling T-shirts. Now you're probably going, what shirts did you buy, Earl? Well, I got 2 Kenny Omega T-shirts and
I wasn't thinking that.
And a pair of AEW longboard shorts for my workouts. Bob Saget one night, I'm playing in the original room of the Comedy Store. There's literally nobody in the room. The girl in the booth was like, do you want to go up? I'm like, yeah, I want to hear myself say the words, as dumb as that sounds. So I am literally playing to the girl in the cover booth, and Bob Saget walks in, and I knew he liked dirty jokes. So I went with the dirtiest, filthiest jokes I can think of. The first one being, there was only one straight guy. No, it's one. The Village People were not gay in real life. And it's like, I would love to hire the acting coach of those guys. And there was only one gay member, and people ask me all the time, who was it? And I'm like, well, I'm going to assume it was the guy who died of AIDS. And Bob Saget walked by me in the hallway. It's the best compliment I've ever gotten. He just whispered into my ear, love the dark stuff. Shout out to Bob Saget. Say hello to Myers and Haskins for me when you meet him.
And Fu.
And Brody.
Yes, and Fu and Brody. And,
Ralphie May.
Ralphie May. Ralphie's probably still getting cremated. I mean. Ralphie was the best. The last thing he texted me was, hey, do you want to go fishing with me? I'm like, as long as there's 2 boats, I'm in. You talk about the Titanic, man. That with me, and I mean, I'm 200 pounds. Ralphie's bare minimum at that time of the email, it was 600 pounds. That's 800 pounds with no gear. That thing would have sunk quicker than the ratings for Animal Kingdom.
You have to go fishing on an aircraft carrier.
Oh my God. I mean, I once did teeter-totter with Ralphie May. I sat down, he sat down, and I flew off the fucking thing. What
Catapult. Yeah, Earl just picked the Ravens. Chad, who do you have? Ravens or Jets?
Listen, I have a big insight. I have a whole commentary of my take. I'm just going to say the Ravens. I'm going to spare everybody. I have nothing, by the way. I'm going with the Ravens. I just know the Jets suck. Shout out Lenny's printer. All right, we got a 1:00 Jaguars versus the Washington Redskins in Washington. It's Washington Redskins -2.5. Ken, who do you got?
That's a 1:00 game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I thought we skipped over San Francisco at Chicago.
I'm going in order here.
We did skip it over, but that's okay.
We'll go back. Let's go back.
Okay. All right. No. So which one is this? I'm sorry. Say it again, Chad. I apologize. You threw me off.
You see, you're a professional. I'm not. I'm all over the map.
Jags, the Washington Football Commander Skins.
So it's Jags at Washington,
Yep.
Tony?
Yeah, it's I'm gonna go with the team once known as the Indians, and it's 2.5. Jacksonville sucks. Washington's not really that great, but I was surprised by the 2.5. I don't know. Is there an injury that I should know about? It just seemed kind of low, so I'm definitely gonna go Washington this one.
Ken, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take Washington, even though they had a terrible. I think they had a terrible training camp and preseason. Wentz was absolutely just horrendous, but it's Jacksonville and they're traveling, so I'm taking Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Redskins too. Earl, who do you got?
I mean, it's a tough one, man. This is like, who is the better actor in Universal Soldier, Van Damme or Lundgren? It's like, I mean, this could be the second worst disaster on 9/11. This game. I'm gonna go with the Jaguars because I that first preseason game against the Steelers, you could tell Lawrence is ready to make a big jump up this year. I mean, I know it's a preseason game from 3 or 4 weeks ago, but this is just two bad teams. I love Ron Rivera, but I don't think the Jaguars are going to be as bad as people think they are. So I'll go with the Jags. Give me a dime on the Jags and parlay it with the White Horse in the 7th of Aqueduct.
Oh, shit. Rack Earl with the gambling tips. I guess let's circle back to that San Fran game since I was unprofessional. It's another 1:00 game. You got Dan Soder's San Francisco 49ers first, the Chicago Bears. What comedian likes the Chicago Bears? I don't know one.
George Wendt.
No, it's probably Tebow. No, Tebow likes. Who's Jason Tebow like? He likes.
He's a Chicago guy, I think.
He is, but I think he likes the Atlanta Falcons.
Him and Sarah Tiana love the Falcons.
Yeah, I should have known that.
Hey, Chad, the Chicago Bears used to have a guy on the team named William Refrigerator Perry, who was one of the big stars in Windy City Heat.
Now, Earl, why don't you like Perry Caravello?
No, I was actually in the Vatican at many years ago with my dad and Refrigerator Perry. I have a great story about it. It's probably too long to tell on a football podcast, but my dad, I'll give you the B version of the story. So I'm walking around the Vatican with Refrigerator Perry. My dad was a very well-connected person in the Catholic Church. He's just walking around by himself, and we see the Pope come out and bless my dad, from that little window. And
yeah,
my dad,
you guys are Kennedys.
Yeah, so my dad knew everybody. And so Refrigerator Perry's like, my God, the Pope, he just blessed you. And I'm like, he didn't bless me. He said, I want you to take that black guy and get the hell out of here. Oh, I should pick the game. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let me see. This is a tough one because you don't know how Lance is going to perform. He's a bit of a wild card. He's not the most accurate thrower. Garoppolo. Here's the crazy thing about the Niners QB situation is if you could combine the two, they'd make a great quarterback. Garoppolo is the accurate quarterback, and the receivers prefer him because he puts the ball where they want it. Lance is probably, he's a wild card. He's not accurate right now. He's a little all over the place. So since it's in Chicago, I'm going to go with the Bears.
Ooh, dub Bears.
But if Lance plays a great game, that's I don't think you know what you're going to get with him. The Niners are a tough team to gamble on because you just don't know what Lance is capable of at the moment.
Earl's taking the 7 points.
You know what? That's not a bad pick right there. How come Janine Garofalo didn't go anywhere, Tony?
I think because of what Earl said, that they're still a little unsure about what Trey Lance can do. I mean, they kind of they tried to do the Josh Allen thing of getting the young quarterback from a school no one's ever heard of and doing Romo. And well, they did that with Garoppolo too. And you saw what happened. I think they're preparing for such an occasion. And if it doesn't really work out with Lance. So, but I'm actually going to go with Chicago in this game because I kind of like what Justin Fields did.
Strawberry Fields.
Yes, Justin Fields forever. And I'm gonna pick him, not just because it's Ohio State. I don't really even like Ohio State, but I think he's made some better adjustments going into year 2, just based on what I saw in training camp so far. So I think that 7 points a little much. Whether they win the game or not, they'll pick Chicago this week.
And if you listen,
it is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going in with a dumb joke. Go ahead.
Well, with the quarterback situation, there's so many teams. The Steelers, the same thing. It's like Trubisky's probably the better quarterback at the moment, but you just get the feeling everyone wants Pickett in there, but you don't know what he can do against first teamers. So it's the same thing with Lance. Like, he was a little protected in preseason. Well, now, all right, let's see what you do against the A teams in terms of the defenses. So it could be great, or they could be just not ready yet.
It's in Chicago. And by the way, I have an answer for the quarterback situation in San Francisco, and it's right in front of your face because I have a new brand. It's called Woke Chad. And it's this right here. Boom. Right there.
Woke Chad.
There you go.
Bring back
Who's
Kaepernick.
that?
Some guy giving commentary. I'm just saying, bring back Kaepernick.
Ugh.
I mean, listen, if he was
He doesn't want to play. Yeah, exactly.
He's
We're
making
going
a
to Jeff
shitload.
Garcia.
If he was any good, someone would have signed him. Okay,
100%. I mean,
that's the bottom line. If he was any good,
NFL teams and probably most sports teams, hockey teams, if they think you can help them win, they're going to find a spot for you. They don't care if you're a rapist. They don't care if you've killed 2 people. They don't. I mean, look at Watson. I mean, it's like, come on.
Speaking of rapist.
But I mean, not all 48 girls are lying. And the Browns still had no problem signing the guy. You get rid of a nice white guy like Mayfield, just does his insurance commercials, goes home, probably jacks off, and he's the guy to get rid of. Like, it's out of control, these teams. So Kaepernick, what was his last NFL season 6 years ago, and he wasn't that good. Like, to be honest,
it was exactly right. He was a system quarterback. Okay, that's all he was a system quarterback. He had the right coach at the right time. Like Earl said, if he was any good, someone would have signed him. Please.
Well,
look at all the shitty quarterbacks that are out there, both starting and backing up, for crying out loud. Look, I'm taking San Francisco. Garoppolo is going to be the starter by Thanksgiving. They didn't trade him because they were asking too much for him, and they asked too much for him because they weren't sure about Trey Lance. They wanted to keep Garoppolo around. They're still paying him a lot of money. You saw that. They signed him to a lot of money. I just think that San Francisco defense is just way too good for the Chicago offense. Chicago is definitely a better team than they were last year, but not better. Where they're going to cover 7 points.
Every time I hear
the Niners.
Every time I hear Trey Lance's name, I think, Earl, you know this one. Lancelot Link, secret chimp.
I don't think I do know that one.
Fuck. Tony, you got my back on this?
No, the secret squirrel and Morocco mole. I don't know.
No, please write in if you know what I'm talking about. Don't hang me out to dry, audience. Speaking of perfect transition, speaking of massage parlors, we got the Cleveland Browns going head to head. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what a barn burner against
who'd you pick?
Against
Chad,
Baker Mayfield and the Panthers. It's Carolina -1.5. I'm going last. Go ahead, Ken.
Well, why don't you go first on the last one? I don't have your 49ers pick.
Yeah, I said
49ers,
the Bears. I told you.
Sorry.
Soldier Field.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, which one do we have? We have.
Now we're going on Browns and Panthers.
Oh, I'm taking Cleveland. I'm taking Cleveland. They're gonna cover. I mean, the Panthers giving Cleveland a 1.5. Is it still a 1.5?
Yeah, in Carolina.
I don't know. I'm taking Cleveland.
Earl, you go next.
Yeah, that AFC North is pretty stacked. You know, I mean, I can't imagine Cleveland losing this game. Carolina's just, they're in transition. And I don't mean like Caitlyn Jenner. They're just like, I voted for her for governor, by the way. I don't know what your guys' states are like, but it's out of control out here with the homeless. So, I mean, I wish I would have saved the video. I deleted it last night. I did a show, and there was a tent city right outside this show. So I walked right through it and interviewing homeless people, and there's rats running around. One guy tried to sell me a watch, and it was like, thank you, Governor Newsom and Garcetti, out of control.
Well, Earl, it's right now we're recording this almost 3:00 your time. It's almost time for you to power down your air conditioning and everything, because the governor and everybody wants you guys to shut down your power for the night.
And use less water.
Rob Reiner wants all you guys to work together.
Yeah, and I love all these people say, hey, you know, give the homeless, you know, this, give them that. Open up your home, and I'll drive every fucking homeless guy I know over to your home. You know, how about get a goddamn job, Al? That's from American Psycho, when he was going to give the homeless guy money and then he killed him.
Get a goddamn job.
You know what your problem, Al, is? You reek of shit. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Carolina's just like I think that, you know, you have to be bad for a while to be good, and they're in the middle of being bad to get the picks, and so it sucks if you're a fan. It's like in hockey, the Kings they were bad after they won the Stanley Cups, and it sucked to go through for 3 or 4 years, but now they're good again. So it's you know, Cleveland's that AFC North is going to be a dogfight this year. Like, there's 4 teams who could win it.
It's going to be like what Tom Skerritt was telling Maverick in Top Gun about how his dad died. It was a dogfight.
I love that scene. Tom Skerritt was my age in that movie. And I'm a Michael Ironside guy. That guy got fucked in RoboCop. Jeff Ross must have been in charge of the costume. He was too big for the costume, so they got rid of him.
Maverick, Goose, get your butts out of that flight gear and up the Viper's office immediately.
He was great. That was my problem with Top Gun Maverick. You know, John Hamm was basically playing Michael Ironside's character. It's like, get out of here, man. Go back to the Progressive commercials, you jackal. That's some black guy being Tom Skerritt's part. That sucked too. Like,
that black guy's one of Godfrey's friends from Chicago.
No, another day, I shouldn't have even said the black guy. It could have been white. It's just like, okay, we go from Tom Skerritt and Michael Ironside, and I realize Tom Skerritt is literally probably 85 right now. So I'm not saying you should have had him in it, but like, you know, just the side characters in Maverick I didn't like. You know, no Rick Rossovich, that football scene, no volleyball scene. You got the lesbian fighter pilot now. It's like, come on, man. Why don't you have an Asian pilot flying all over the fucking mountains, bumping into things?
They did. There were Asian pilots. They were the people from Yale.
Oh, I don't know. I think the one black pilot had a dub sticker on the back of his plane, so that checked out.
All right, we got to get this thing rolling, or we're going to be sidetracked all fucking day. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers. I've been saying it since day one. Baker Mayfield got hosed. He was playing hurt. He's coming out pissed off. This is the best you'll ever see Baker. Granted, it's going to be interesting to see what's his name. What's his name who was throwing the football helmet against the Steelers guy?
No, Myles Garrett. Myles
Garrett's probably going to be throwing Baker on his ass, but Baker's going to get up like a man. He's going to stick it to the Browns. He's going to suck it. Enjoy your starting quarterback for the 6 games when you'll probably miss the playoffs, bitches. And then Baker will go on and get a payday. I'm going with Panthers. Sorry.
Rack me. Yeah, I'm going Panthers as well. Just because I think Baker's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And the Browns have Jacoby Brissett for the first. you know,
Florentine says he sucks.
He's terrible. He's so inaccurate with his passing. And, you know, they'll always bring up like, oh, well, you know, his record as a starter and he's not a very good quarterback. He's probably going to be benched by week 3. They're going to put Josh Dobbs in by probably the Pittsburgh game, the Thursday night game. And that's what it's going to be. They're just going to trudge it out until they get Deshaun Watson back after 11 games. Brissett has no chemistry with his offense right now. The defense is in disarray. And the Browns are playing cocky like they're Super Bowl contenders right now. They're not. They finished 8-9 last year. They're not that good. They have a quarterback who's, you know, allegedly a serial rapist and tried to go to Yankee cranky shops to regular massage parlors or masseuses. The Browns are not as good as a lot of people think. Is just because they have Amari Cooper. You need somebody to get Amari Cooper the ball. And, you know, I just don't think they're going to win week 1. I think Baker's going to play with that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. Florentine actually said Joey Diaz is better in a pocket than our starting quarterback right now.
Pretty much.
That's his take. Rack Florentine. All right, let's get this thing rolling. 1 o'clock game. We got Megan Gailey's Colts. I can't believe I still remember that. Versus Deshaun Watson's old Texans football team, who paid off some ladies. They're still going to suck. It's going to be Indiana -7 in Houston. Earl, what do you got?
I'll go with the Colts. Houston, there's a lot of bad teams in the league this year. Houston's just, they're it's not good. So I think
still good, Matt.
Colts are revitalized. Matt Ryan at the quarterback position now, so I think there's a little bit of momentum there. And Houston, you know, they got off the field problems, they got on the field problems, so it's going to be a rough couple years for the Texans fan base.
Commissioner,
can they get one last thing? Can they get punished still for Watson's stuff, or are they free and clear of that?
They're free and clear. They paid out, Earl. They settled with all those ladies. So Houston's now out of it. They settled.
So they can't get like draft picks or anything like that.
Done. Yeah, they're done. They're all settled.
So we got Commissioner Kenny, who was formerly Compound Kenny. He's commissioner. He went up the ranks.
He got promoted. I hope the Houston Texan fans enjoyed their preseason, because they were 3-0, because they're going to be, 2-15, 3-14 in the regular season. They are bad. So since we have to move along here, I'm taking the Colts.
Jonathan Taylor, I mean, that guy could win an MVP this year. He's that good. He played that well. Now
From
he actually
Home Improvement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the middle child in the family.
He grew.
And the voice of Simba in the first Lion King.
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna go with the Colts. Texans stink.
Oh, I like that. Rack Tony. Colts are unanimous. Let's go. Bob and Tom's Colts. Stick it to them. We got another 425 game. We got Lenny Marcus's Giants versus Nate Bargatze's Tennessee Titans in Nashville. Tennessee's giving up -5.5. -5.5. Ken, what do you got on this game?
I'm taking the Titans. They're a really good team. Giants are going to be a little better. It's going to be interesting to see what Daniel Jones is. That keeps saying how he's a little bit better this year than he was last year, and the coach is going to make a bit of a difference.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, exactly, Tony. They keep saying a bit. He's a bit better. He's a bit this. A bit. I'm going to tell you, he's going to spit the bit. Okay, he's going to spit the bit. So I'm taking Tennessee and giving the 5.5, like Chad said, 5.5. I'm taking the Titans.
From the Check Your Brain podcast, which you can see on Patreon right now. Sign up for as little as $5 and also get the MLF podcast, Tony Mazer, the star, and the star of Mondays with Mazer.
That's correct. And and I'll be in New York next week. So I'll be doing some podcasts and promoting it. So that should be fun. And then I think I'm going out to LA at the end of November. So we'll see how that goes. I'll go see who's ever outside of Earl and Don Barris performing at the Comedy Store that I don't know.
I mean, you never know. I mean, you might be able to get on stage. I'll make a call.
Earl Skakel. It pays to know people.
They're going to look for another white guy in his mid-30s to with tattoos. So I'm going to go that the Tennessee Tuxedos in this game.
Straight out of West Hollywood, a crazy motherfucker named Earl.
Sorry, I'm just getting a TikTok notification that I have a new follower named Ooga Booga Jones. I'm gonna guess that's not real.
It sounds like something Gino would have on In Hot Water.
Yeah, I mean, if you think I'm gonna accept a friend request from someone named Ooga Booga, you're right. I just added him. I'm gonna go with the Titans. I feel bad for Tannehill. He's pretty good. He's not great at anything, but he's good at everything, which is almost works against you in pro sports. Like, if you have like this amazing rocket-like arm, but you can't run, you seem to get more love from the media and the fans. I just think the Titans are a pretty good team. And so I don't see them losing this game, even with the 5.5 going the other way.
I think I'm alone now. I'm going to go with the Titans. Their quarterback stinks. That guy, I'm not a fan of him, but I think Mike Vrabel is going to come around on this one. I just want to show I know a little something about football.
Someone's going Google.
No, I know.
I mean, just up the road from where I'm broadcasting from.
I played basketball against Mike Vrabel. I know Mike Vrabel. Trust me. I played basketball. He was a hell of a basketball player. We're going to keep this thing rolling. We got the Green Bay Packers. I want to ask you after this, what did you guys think about why am I drawing a blank? Who's the
Aaron Rodgers?
I was about to say Brent Favre. Aaron Rodgers on Joe Rogan. We'll get to that against Nick Swartzing's Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Green Bay's given up -1.5. Tony, what did you think of his appearance, and who do you think is going to win this?
I'm going to say Joe Rogan's going to win, and the podcast. I think the Vikings are going to pull this one off. I think there's the Packers have had all this is Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. Then he comes into camp. He's dressed like Nicolas Cage in Con Air. And it's like all this other stuff is going on. Now Aaron Rodgers is one of the few quarterbacks that with all the drama that goes on, he still is able to perform. He's one of the few guys who can do that, but I'm going to say Minnesota pulls it off in week 1. Just they're at home. They're in the dome. I'll go with the Vikings in this one.
At home in the dome. Commissioner.
Yeah, I picked Minnesota to win the division. They're going to be a 12, maybe 13 win team. They're very good. Defense is good. They have a serviceable quarterback. Green Bay. Who's Aaron Rodgers throwing to? Who are his receivers? But I'm taking Minnesota. Like I said, they're my pick to win the division. They're my pick to actually win the NFC.
Well, that's the thing, Ken, is that the mark of a great quarterback is that it doesn't matter who your receivers are. You make them great receivers. Jordy Nelson, if he was playing on any other team, or Greg Jennings or any of these other wide receivers, would just be mediocre cast-offs, and he made them into borderline Pro Bowlers. And that's what the mark of a good quarterback is. And that's kind of what, I know your frustration with Dak Prescott is that he's not making his receivers better. So that's, it's a long topic. I know you're passionate about.
Remember who we're talking about. Who are we talking about here, Tony? We're talking about Aaron Rodgers. You compare him to Dak Prescott. Holy cow.
But but they make that kind of money, and everybody expects the quarterback to make everybody better. And Aaron Rodgers does. Dak Prescott doesn't. That's just the story of the NFL.
Dak wanted $40 million a year. Tyron Smith goes down. They're going to start Tyler Smith, who's probably 2 years away from being ready. And they go and they sign Jason Peters, whatever, from Philadelphia.
Whoever the fuck he is.
Exactly. He's gonna go to the Hall of Fame. He'll be a Hall of Famer. This guy was a great tackle.
His years passed him way by. He played for Chicago last year. He may as
barely
well
move.
He was on roller skates last year.
It was terrible. I don't know. I read something today where they signed him to be more of a mentor.
He was like Eric Myers trying to walk around a bus.
Chad.
He was no Eric Myers, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so it's time for the Vikings. It really is. The Vikings will win the division. They're going to win this game.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go with the Vikings because Aaron Rodgers is unvaccinated. Earl, you go ahead.
By the way, I was in a short once with Kate Quigley and Eric Myers. Who would have thought I'd come out of that one the best?
Earl.
I wish I would put that on YouTube just to get the numbers. I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think, it's something that's not being really talked about is that Darius Smith wants blood. So I think
that's a great point.
He's going to have the game of his life. He's probably literally put posters of Aaron Rodgers in his room just thinking of decapitating him.
Well, he might want blood, but Darius Rucker does not want blow in his home. Go ahead.
Well, allegedly, I'll take some. I'll take some cocaine with my fentanyl. You got to be careful these days when you're doing drugs, man. Like, you don't know what's in this. I had a friend of mine. He's an acquaintance. Not even acquaintance. Let's just say he might deal in powdered refreshments, and he broke it down to me that obviously all cocaine comes from Colombia, and by the time it gets to, say, Los Angeles, it's been stepped on at least 6 to 7 times. So, and you don't know with what. I mean, yes, it might be baking soda, which is fine. You're not going to die from that, but there's many other things other than fentanyl that's put in.
Well, you got to stop watching Miami Vice.
Never, dude. I love Miami Vice, although I thought it jumped the shark a little bit when Zito died. You got to shout out to John Deal, the actor, who walked away from the best show in the 80s in its prime. Just said, I want to do theater, and then nobody heard from him again. That takes a lot of balls. It's like the guy, my buddy Dave from The Killers. He walked away from The Killers, like, at their peak, saying, you guys aren't going to use my music? I'm going to do my own shit. Now he's back in The Killers.
There it is. Did you get your pick in? Because we got to fly through these next 4 ones. I got to take a dump.
Kansas City. Yeah, you got it in. Kansas City at Arizona. Kansas City giving 6.
Mondays with Mazer, Tony Mazer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals on this one. I think the Cardinals will do another one of those where they'll start off really hot and last year weren't they like 10-0 or it was something ridiculous? And everyone's like, oh, they're gonna go undefeated. It's like, not this team. And I know, Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. Is he worth the money that they're paying him? Probably not, but he does have weapons around him. And I just don't think with that Chiefs team, they don't have Tyreek Hill. And as a possibility of going through that identity crisis, a lot of teams do go through and they get kind of smacked in the mouth. So, Chiefs -6 week 1. And I'm going Cardinals here.
I'm going to piggyback off of Tony. That sounds like a pretty good take. And
I'm going with Jake Plummer.
Jake Plummer, he's back in the league.
I was going Neil Lomax. I thought you were going to say Neil Lomax. Jim Hart.
I thought you said
for all us old guys. Oh, that's right. I'm the oldest here.
Oh,
Jim Hart, number 17, throwing to a white guy. Can you imagine that was the NFL? A white quarterback going to a white receiver. Out of control.
Hey, that happens down here in well, it's not a receiver, I guess. I was going to say Tom Brady and Gronk.
I'll take Conrad Dobler plus a dime.
I'll take Conrad Thompson.
Hey, he took care of me, man. He got me my wrestling doll.
I'll take William Conrad.
I'll take
Cannon.
I'll take Conrad's.
A Quinn Martin production.
Dude, I knew Quinn Martin's kid, man.
Of course you did.
I was about to say that, Chad. Of course he did.
I know that's a random
spelling.
He was a great-looking guy. Like, him and Jack Wagner were like the 2 studs at Bel Air Country Club. And then it was me spraying about 10 balls into the 10th hole canyon. But I didn't really care because my dad said, Earl, if you ever need anything, my account's 314. That's the actual account for my dad. You'd lose 10 balls. You just go, and I'll take a dozen more balls, please. I was like Spalding from Caddyshack. Eating boogers.
I got it from a Negro.
Yeah, it's got to be good weed. I got it from a Negro. I mean, you couldn't do that movie today.
And if you're a terrestrial radio station, Tony's applying for program director.
That's correct. My first guess will be Gino Visconti.
Earl, did you ever hear the story about Tony, Earl?
Tell it to me again. I did, but I'm having a brain fart because I'm excited tonight. MJF is going to have a hot mic on AEW. He's going to go rogue tonight. So please tell me again.
I had Gino on a podcast, and Gino is being Gino, and yada yada yada. I was out of a job pretty quick after that.
Well, I think me and Chad did a podcast with Gino, or I think it was maybe we were on with Brennan, and he dropped like 7 N-bombs, and like I'm all about raunchy humor and stuff, but like I think I texted Chad, hey, you can't release this, man, like because it's guilt by association. Like you just can't. It's a different era, man. You want to say that word? Come over to my house. We'll lock the doors and windows. We'll cut a rap record in my living room, but like.
I know after that podcast, I almost wanted to go on tour with Louis J. Gomez.
I'm on an all black cartoon and I got to keep it cool.
Yeah, you work for Tyler the Creator.
I mean, he's got a wacky sense of humor, but I don't think it's that wacky.
So what picks do you need, Ken?
I'm waiting on Earl.
We might have breaking news here. I'm on Twitter right now, and I see Mason Rudolph and Steelers are trending. So something must have broken out. That's all.
No, that's a good one. That's
who's Earl taking?
You want me to answer for him?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kansas City they're still the cream of the crop, in my opinion. I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going Kansas City. Chad?
We went with Cardinals, right, Tony?
I did go, yes.
Yeah, I went with Cardinals. Hey, Ken, that's on you, Commissioner, okay? Because I said Cardinals.
All right. I got it. I got you down. I got to be sure. I'm going to check so no one says, I
got you. Yeah, because
I'm cooking the books.
So people like who want to play in the pool, email the picks with your Venmo of $50, winner takes all, plus $200 from Rich Energy Solutions. So Lisa's, we got 3 more games, guys, and we're in the weeds. We're out of the weeds. 425, we got Sam Tripoli's Las Vegas Raiders versus the aforementioned Gino Bisconte's Chargers in LA. Is Gino going to fly out to see this game for some reason and hang out with Bronson Jones and do no spots?
He's there now. Gino's there now.
Yeah. He goes out to LA and does no spots. Smart. The Chargers are getting -3. Commissioner, who do you have?
I'm going with the Chargers.
Yep.
Tony from
Tony,
Check Your
go.
Brain.
They're a playoff team. Even though I think the Raiders, I really like the Raiders as a fringe playoff team, but I'm going Chargers in this one. Earl
Skakel.
It's Chargers. I mean, the Raiders are good, but it's in LA. Although I don't know, the Chargers have a wacky fan base. I mean, I remember when I went to a game in San Diego with the Steelers, and it was a Steeler home game. And I think the Rams are the cream of the LA crop. You don't see too many Charger billboards. It's all Rams stuff. So it's not quite the home field advantage that most teams we get. But I think the Chargers are the better team. So I'll go with the Chargers.
Chad?
I'm going with Sam Tripoli's Raiders because let's be honest, fuck Gino.
Didn't Gino say you're a Cleveland racist?
He did. I think he was off.
But Gino calling someone a racist is like Dikembe Mutombo calling someone black.
Oh my God!
It's like Ralphie May calling someone fat.
Yeah. Well, it's like I wish I could say the guy's name, but there's a very unhealthy comic who moved back to New York recently. You can't pick a guy who's as unhealthy as this guy, and I'm leaving big clues. So you figure New York comic, came to LA, burned all the bridges he could, is now back in New York. I went to hug him goodbye, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to get COVID." I'm like, "Dude, I'm the healthiest guy you'll ever fucking hug. You've got many diseases. I think you can take a hug from me, Jack."
And that comic is Joe DeRosa. Anyways, I'm kidding.
Not Joe.
I was just fucking around.
Bill Burr.
Joey Roses.
Yeah. I mean, Bill Burr said Joe DeRosa looks like a mongoloid version of me.
Bill Burr should do roast battle on Tuesday.
He would never, like, he'd ruin that show. He'd call it out for what it is, just open micers bullying each other. I once roast battled a guy who was a pedophile, and I called him fat, and then I was yelled at for body shaming the guy. Unbelievable.
I'm moving back to LA just on that story alone. All right, we got 2 more games. 8:20 game. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Ken Moska's Cowboys in Dallas. We got Tampa Bay giving up 2.5. Ken, you lead the charge since this is your squad, and you've been waiting for this one.
Oh boy, bad offensive line, receiving core not even close to 100%. Zeke looking fat on the sidelines at the Notre Dame Ohio State game, right, Tony?
Oh yeah, I saw him there. I tagged Ken. I'm like,
thanks for thanks for tagging me. Thanks for tagging me on that, Tony.
You said
Appreciate
Zeke's eating
that.
well right now.
Yeah, he's eating well. All right,
He's eating good in the neighborhood.
Yeah, he sure is. Look, I'm taking Tampa. It's in Dallas. I'm taking Tampa. Like I said, Cowboy offensive line is just bad. And a few short years ago, they were good. Cowboys are an 8 or 9 win team at best. I'll say 9. But they had 12 wins last year, Tony, and they were 6-0 in the division. They're going to go 3-3 in the division this year. I'll just take 3. I'll just take those 3 because you win games sometimes. You don't think you're going to win. They're an 8 or 9 win team. I'm taking Tampa, and I'm going to go outside and hang myself.
In order?
Yeah.
No, just walk on the freeway. That's the new suicide.
Rest in peace, Eric Myers.
Dwayne Haskins, Ralphie May, Teddy Ray. Make God laugh.
That's how Orson Bean died too. He was trying to cross the street.
He was a healthy 94-year-old too, remember?
You know who he is, Chad? Orson Bean?
No clue.
He was on all those game shows back in the day, but he was married to the mom from the Wonder Years.
Okay.
Yeah, Ellie Mills. And he was trying to cross the street and he got hit by a car right before COVID too.
He was a great actor. He was a great actor back in the day, Tony. Plus, he was a writer as well.
I was once in a short with Danica McKellar, who played Winnie Cooper on the Wonder Years, but we weren't in the same scene, but we were in the same short.
Was Paul Pfeiffer actually Marilyn Manson? Go.
That's actually
funny. I got into a fight at the gym once with Jason Hervey from the Wonder Years.
We were just talking about him, Chad.
By the way, he's boys with your boy Eric Bischoff, who's on the wrestling podcast this week.
Yeah, they had a production company. We became friends after the fact. There was this game they would put in racquetball courts called Volleyball, and it was volleyball but inside of a racquetball court. So you could like do all these weird, tricks. Basically,
I remember that.
Ball. Yeah, and then so he served once, and he mouthed off to me. So he came over to my side of the fence, and I got him in a headlock, and I threw him against the floor.
Did you really? You threw Jason Hervey down?
Because this is at the height of his fame, so he was pretty cocky, but he always had hot pussy with him. I'll give him that. And then we became friends.
He dated Missy Hyatt.
Yeah, he'd always bring her to the King games. We sat next to each other at the hockey games at the Forum, and I would ask her what wrestler she fucked, and she wouldn't talk to me.
We gotta have Jason Hervey on the podcast.
I would love to have him. He was in 3 iconic films off Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Back to the Future, and the Wonder Years. I mean, that's just that alone's an incredible run.
Dude,
and 100 Deeds with Eddie McDowd.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a career that I'd kill for. I mean, imagine being that successful and not one show has the word Jeff Ross presents on it.
Can we call this show the Jason Hervey Files?
He would do it. I bet you he would do it.
I'd love to talk to him.
When you get a hold of him.
Yeah, let's do a podcast with Jason Hervey. I have a lot to say to that guy.
I'd like to finish this podcast first.
That's true.
We're still recording.
Well, the good news is we got one game left. We have the Monday. Are you ready for some football?
Wait, I didn't get my pick. I'm going to go with Buccaneers, even though Tom Brady looks like an AIDS patient right now. He looks like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia right now. I don't know what's going on in his personal life, if him and Giselle are getting divorced, but I'm still going Tampa Bay in this one. But boy, what happened to Tom Brady? He's looking like Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Who do you have, Earl?
Well, it's funny you bring up the divorce and stuff, but normally if everything was gravy train, I'd say the Buccaneers. But you got to figure that Tom Brady's mind is elsewhere. I'm going to go with Dallas. And attention all whores. Brady has marital problems, so time to start lining up those plane tickets to the Gulf Coast. You cunts. Sorry, guys.
You know how many strip clubs are on Dale Mabry right by Raymond James Stadium? He's going to be fine. I'm going with the Buccaneers.
Is it near the Walmart?
It is. Actually, there is one. Scores is across the street.
Is that where Brian McCarthy goes when he goes down in Florida?
It's the first time I heard his name in 4 years. All right, here we go. Monday night, September 12th. We survived 9/11, hopefully. Brant Tobler's Broncos versus Craig Gass's Seahawks in Seattle. Denver's getting -6.5. Commissioner.
Yeah, Craig Gass is a big fan. He was here. I saw his show here, a couple of times, and we talked football. He is a big first of all, he's a good guy, and he is a big football fan. Denver is going to be really good this year. They are going to be good with Russell Wilson. Seahawks are rebuilding, to put it mildly. I'm taking the Broncos.
Tony Mazer.
I'm going Broncos as well over Pete Bisconti's Seahawks. And you always notice that these quarterbacks who spent a long time with one team and they have that first year with the next team, they have that chip on their shoulder. And you saw Peyton Manning had that. He had an amazing season with Denver after he came back from the neck surgery. Joe Montana had that with the Chiefs. So I think Russell Wilson's going to have a really good year, and that's it. Russell, he may as well retire after this year. And but I think he's going to help them lead them to, I don't want to say the playoffs right now because it's a tough division, but a fringe playoff team with Denver and kind of bring them to where they, where they should have been, which is having so many terrible quarterbacks over the years. So I'm going Denver in this one.
All right. We're going to finish it off with our guest of honor who has the final word, Earl Skakel.
Wait, Tony, did you say Joe Montana was on the Chiefs?
Joe Montana, yes. Yeah, from
Criminal Minds.
That's right. Filled in for Mandy Patinkin.
Who Chad?
I love Mandy Patinkin. I'm going to go with Denver. Denver's going to be really good. I think Wilson's going to want to stick it to his old team. I can't imagine Denver losing. I mean, who is Seattle's quarterback? Jim Zorn?
It's Rick Meyer.
Dave Craig. Dave Craig.
Yeah, I was partial to Jim Zorn, the lefty, man.
Going to Steve Largent.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's crazy that you're starting. Jim Zorn had a worse body than Mac Davis in North Dallas 40.
That's a great line.
Isn't that crazy that, you look at most movies about pro football now, the actors kind of look like pro football players, like LL Cool J and Usher and
Dennis Quaid.
I mean, he could pass as an older quarterback, but you look at like North Dallas 40, where Nick Nolte was an NFL wide receiver. Come on, man, get out of town. I'll go with the Broncos.
I'm going with the Broncos to close it out for our very first season 1 Rack Me podcast. You could still get to the football pool by 6 p.m. tomorrow. Everything after that, you're forfeited.
What's
Thursday
the email address? What's the Venmo? Get those plugs out.
The Venmo is
Jamie. Pull that up.
The Venmo is at Ken Mosca. That's the Venmo. Chad has the email.
The email is we're still using the old miserylovesfootball@gmail. Miserylovesfootball@gmail. You could still email your picks, send the money to Ken, send your picks in, and we'll go from there. And we will every Tuesday on the Patreon, patreon.com/rackme. We will put the rankings in order, how everyone's going to go. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts or questions. Sign up to the Patreon for as little as $5. Hit subscribe on the iTunes. Follow all these guys on social media. Any plugs to go around before we close it out, guys?
None from me. Good to see you, Earl.
Yeah, always a pleasure seeing you and Tony and Chad. And if you like wrestling, please follow the Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast. I'll be honest with you, we need the help, man. We got like 23 followers on Twitter. That's out of control. I might have to go back to Bronx Battle if that keeps up.
All right, for Ken Mosca, Commissioner Ken Mosca, Tony Mazer, Earl Skakel, I am Chad Zumock, the captain, steering the ship. We will see you week 2. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon. That's a wrap. Bring home the votes.